another episode of Product Like It's Friday on a Friday. I feel like we've been pretty good with the Friday thing.
Consistency is key, they say.
Yeah.
Apart
So
from last week, mind you.
yes, right, right. So I guess not so consistent.
But present. We were present in the week.
Yeah, cool. Welcome back. I had some homework at the end of last week, and admittedly, I did none of it. Um, but I'm gonna share my screen and go through it because I actually, apart from not doing the homework, I also don't remember what the homework was.
If you excuse me, I just need a moment as you share your screen to just deal with this shocking news, this shocking update.
I,
All,
I
all weeks, especially because I had an extra day. Friday, we did Thursday. There was homework. I had Friday and then a full week. I was just building up to kind of the completion of this homework in my mind. And can
yeah.
you imagine my shock only to learn just now, live on television, that we're not going to get it?
I also think it's so amusing because I think last Thursday when we met last, you said something about like me being good with homework or like me being prepared
Mm. Yeah, 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 yeah.
about homework, and I've done nothing. So
I
this is
jinxed it. That's what happened. It got to your head. Obviously, we know, like, Mary's like, it's,
wait. How do I?
you say a nice
Oh,
thing.
there we go. Yeah, you know me. So this is my homework. We're not gonna do this. Like, there's no point, right? I don't think. So that's why I left it alone. Like, I don't think we need
Yeah,
to
yeah.
do
Not
that.
important.
Um, but I think what follows could be important. I'm just reorienting myself and trying to remember what this is. So redesigning how the user can add more themes manually. I think this is relating to like once the system has detected the themes of a journal. I'm speaking a little bit better, but not as well as I hoped.
No,
Post
you're doing great. Everything, all the words are clear.
I find that I have to like over articulate sometimes,
Yes.
which is weird because I like mumbling. um, anyway, okay, redesign how. Yeah, so this is like we got the journaling process and like the AI to like detect which themes exist, and then it's like how does the user manually select themes if needed, if there are things that like the AI did not pick up or like you want to like add it yourself. Think about how the prompt considers how the user already feels. What was I getting at here? Oh, I think this is yeah. So our prompt right now just intakes the journal entry itself.
Mary, sorry to interrupt there, but are you on the Figma page? Because we can't see the Figma.
Oh no,
I'm just wondering if that's what you thought you were sharing.
I'm just sharing the homework.
Okay, okay. So we're not supposed to be, because I
um,
started imagining things and I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay,
Maybe what? Yeah, I think that could be helpful. Maybe what I would do is just like copy this and put it on Figma because I think it is helpful to like have the visuals.
yeah, thank you.
So let me share my Figma now. Replace. All right. So just copy the homework over. So the first one is redesigning the themes. So I think that's related to. Let me just hide that. That's related to this screen. It's like how does one select additional themes, if I recall. But I'm not sure if that is
Mhm.
the intention of this piece. And then the second one is like about the prompt itself that we used, because I had certainly forgotten that like at this point, the prompt should also have not only like what the user has
Oh,
prompted,
yeah.
but also like what they've selected here.
I think that we can just experiment with that because we didn't get to that the last time. And I'm actually okay to start off there, start feeding that information into our prompt and just seeing, like, I don't think we'll even notice a difference, to be honest.
Yeah.
So we could kind of place it there and see how it feels. Okay, please continue.
Yeah, I think that's I generally I feel like the more clear something is, the sooner I want to tackle it. And I'm not entirely sure if I remember what this was.
You're gonna have to watch a stream. I
Yeah,
know. I
maybe.
don't. My guess was that if going like whether there should be like a show more thing to show the rest of the themes if they apply. I think from my memory that's what, but I'm not 100% sure either looking at it now.
Okay, yeah, maybe it will come to us once we
Yeah.
are.
Or somebody who didn't do their homework is gonna go.
I don't want to watch the stream. You can watch the stream. Anyway. And then the last two is like it's complicated paths, and this was, I think, not high priority at this point.
Yeah, I think we discussed that a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm happy to dig into this, and then I will start digging into its complicated paths in the background if I can split my attention. We'll see.
So I will say this one thing before I jump in and get started here is that I also forgot to do homework that I had on me. Do you remember what it was?
Something. I know it has to do with like deploying or like getting.
Yeah. It's exactly getting you an environment you can get, and that's 2 weeks in a row I haven't done it. Just so you know. So while we're talking about sort of modes of accountability and how they play out, this is where we're at. So
we don't need to do homework. We can do homework live.
It's true. So we can. I mean, although I feel like my homework needs. I wouldn't. No, I could do it live. It's just, it's a lot more meandering than the work we're doing here, which is I feel like a bit more direct. Okay, I will need to cover a little bit on where we left off, not for any potential viewership, but just for myself to rebuild the context, because certainly I have lost it. We had come to the end of this screen, I believe, which is our theme screen. Let me just jump in here and take a look. I still, Mary, kind of want to click this button, my heart. I think the last time I wanted to as well. I think the last time I did. And then...
Wait, but okay, the way I was thinking about it is like, can we like hide this button, hide the ability to switch between the modes once the user has started inputting?
That, yeah, okay. I mean, okay. Okay. I'm not entirely sold on. Sorry.
Please disagree if you feel. Yeah.
I'm not entirely sold on that, but then also, I was doing like I was stuck in a loop there, and I'll tell you why. It's because, for one thing, we don't have that functionality yet. So, and if it's just, I mean, I like, my heart says you should have the ability to switch. Why not? Because, yeah, like, just because I started writing doesn't mean I don't want to switch to voice, and vice versa. Especially vice versa, where if there were any errors in a recording, then in terms of how it was transcribed, I might want to correct that. But then my flip side was, It doesn't matter right now. So that's why I was stuck in a loop of like, why am I going to get into a discussion about something that, isn't as pressing, let's just say. It will become pressing soon, but definitely I would imagine, and again, okay, not definitely. No imagination. I need to do my homework. I need to get this in your hands and then see how the user feels about like the massive call to action versus
Wait,
the
can we
continued
just
call to action.
like if we're not doing the voice thing,
Mhm.
can we just get rid of this button?
Sure. Say my thoughts out loud. I want to just to see what it looks like. I think it's disabled. Yeah. I want to see what it looks like when it's disabled, just for visual purposes of our framework here. And then I am happy to, oops, that won't work. I am happy to, I need to correct my, oh. So this will, this is going to be a very frustrating coding session for me. I'll tell you why. I recently upgraded some certain things in my text editor, which caused issues because the software, like not all of these like plugins align with each other properly. And I spent a chunk of my day trying to get things aligned, but I never completed it, which means that some of my ease of navigation around the text editor will be impacted. I don't know how much, but even just now I did something. Oh no, okay, it seems to be, it actually will work here as long as I don't quit my editor, because I never quit. So this editor, this session is from last week, okay, which means that the plugins that it had loaded are not updated in memory. So if I quit the session and come back in, I'm going to start the trouble. But if I just remain here, now I quit and come back in a lot, so I just have to be very disciplined about not doing that, because it seems to be functioning as I would have intended at the moment. So, all right. That aside, our button here is gone for now. I'm not going to worry about the space that it's left, and we'll continue here. Double check that our OpenAI connection is functional. It is. It has pre-selected a few themes, and now I just want to get these into the prompt. We'll start there, and then right. So we'll get into what this finish button does, which ultimately should create a journal entry of sorts. And then Mary and I had discussed not starting with the calendar, that the screen here, this supposed home screen. I say supposed because it's the last screen in this list. We'll work on that a little bit, but we might not even get to that in this session. Oh wow, live update. We might not even get to that in this session because I need to do some discovery work, which I might have done as homework prior, though I did not assign it to myself. But I'm not aware of the APIs in the browser to store this stuff. So I'm just going to have to do some playing around, some learning while experimenting in order to get that working properly. And then once that's done, we'll get into the screen. So, and then there was this flow, but then I think, let me just take a look at this flow again. We're coming down to it's complicated. We note, we continue. Now we get our, oh, I think this was the last item. No, it's complicated path, but I think it's worth me just rebuilding some of that context. So I say it's complicated. I first enter my journal entry. It then gives me potential feelings from the entry, which is the reverse of kind of what we have here. Not the reverse, but the sort of a rearrangement of what we have up here. And then we said that these potentially might also need to be generated via our AI therapist, or AI psychologist at the very least, not therapist quite yet. Because we're just categorizing, we're not advising. And then all of that then gets piped into here, which makes sense that we start with this now. So I'm just recollecting for just my own, because we have to feed these selected ones into this prompt anyway. Okay, that makes me feel good. So here are my feelings. I'm rejected, hurt, disappointed. Disapproval doesn't feel like an active feeling like these other ones do. This is I feel rejected, I feel hurt, I feel disappointed. That all makes grammatical sense. I feel disapproval. But okay, I mean, either way. All right, so kind of recollecting where we are here, we're on the themes page. And I'm trying to find, right. So it's not actually on the themes page that happens on the journal page where we submit our entry here. And we're just sending the journal entry. What we additionally need to do is send in our feelings, and our feelings are here in selected feelings. Perfect. And then selected feeling.feeling is the text. And just to get me reoriented here, I additionally have these other details. I don't think as yet these other details are necessarily relevant to the prompt, but I will just pass all of them anyway. Selected feelings. Although in this case, AI wants me just to pass in the feeling name, but I'm gonna pass in all of the feeling details. Even though it might be too much, but not a big deal for now. And then here I'll have selected feelings. And for now, I think I'll only, well, actually, I guess I'll accept the whole thing. And I can retype this later. And then, Mary, just as a note, there is some slightly odd feedback from your mic. I'm not sure if you can sense it, just kind of like as if the mic is rubbing against something.
Like just now, or like?
Yeah, even as you were kind of clicking around earlier as well, but it was less noticeable when you were speaking yourself. It just kind of seemed part of the process, but now it seems it's kind of like, I don't know how I can recreate it, but like, can you hear that?
No. Oh, okay. I hear it.
I'm kind of literally just like rubbing against my mic. I can't hear that, but I feel like, I imagine that's what it feels like. So I'm not sure if your mic is shaking on the table. No, it didn't happen in the last 5-10 seconds.
Okay. Well, let me know if it happens again.
Will do. So here we're providing the content. So I think our content needs to be a bit more categorized. So we're going to provide user made journal entries. I'll have for the input, so this is actually, the AI here is working really well, because it's detected what I kind of added here, and it's auto-completing selected feelings here. So I'm just gonna Double check if this is correct. Is an array of feelings selected by the user, which may provide additional context but should not influence the theme selection. Quite the contrary. And should influence the theme selection. However, I'm not entirely sure. I guess I can do this here, ops input journal entry. So I can probably create a, yeah, that actually looks pretty good to me. Let's see if that suffices. Even though this isn't precise. So maybe I can make it more precise here.
I think I remember what my homework was.
It wasn't on that list? It was something else?
It was on the list. It was because like we had like I guess like the ones that are selected are the high correlation one, and then the ones that are shown are like the, I don't know, the whatever we call it, medium correlation, and we don't show the rest of the list by default, but the user should have the ability to see them if they want to.
Right. Okay. So the low.
Yeah. So the no
Got it.
correlation detected list should still be accessible
Got it.
somehow. Yeah. So I can.
Got it. Low. Yeah.
take a look
Got
at
it. That's more specific. You did remember and avoided having to watch the previous stream. Congratulations. You know, sometimes you want other people to get what they want, but I did not want you to get what you wanted. I really wanted you to have to go watch the stream.
Like, just while this is happening.
At some point, you know, like while it's happening, maybe at a different, it's just up, you know, at any point. You know, look, I'm just being radical honesty.
Cool. For one extra view.
Are we gonna? That's fair. Yeah. Are we getting extra views because we're radically honest, or pretending to be?
Are you pretending to be?
All the time. I feel like there's always a way to not meet somebody's standard of honesty, or vice versa, to be too radical.
But if you're honest to yourself, then you're the most honest you can be. Why are you meeting someone else's expectation of honesty?
I see what you mean. No, I can't. Because I think you have to manage being radical with cruelty sometimes, which I think the book covers.
Which book?
Radical Honesty. The Radical Honesty book. There's a book.
There's a book for everything.
That's fair. All right, so these are now selected. Our prompt is feeding them in. Now I haven't double checked whether it's precisely impacting it the way that we'd like, but I'm fairly content with what we have here. And I'm going to try and take a look at this finish button now on the themes page. Before I do that, I might just high level take a look at what we have thus far and commit it. Even though, you know, we did a lot, nothing here. Honestly, in this case, I'm just scanning for like any debugging statements more than functionality. I trust that the functionality is mostly doing what we want. What am I missing here? Oh, that's fine. I was like, I forgot where I was in the code. So this here was just a test case, and I don't think I need to commit this. Certainly I don't. Because now this is moved into the code and we've additionally modified the code. So if I commit this, this will already be outdated and I don't want to update it. So this will go away and this will go away as well. Okay, that's good. So let's do the diff again here. What am I missing? Oh, there's more. Analyze journal. Just see here. No, this is correct. So, yeah. This is where we really moved the prompt to. And that looks fine to me. And then we just have some types and additional storage here. Okay. Adding function. This is going to be the worst commit message. Adding mood tracking features. Thanks, AI. Thanks a lot. All right. So now finish on the themes page, which does nothing right now. And what we wanted to do is actually save and create the journal entry. And just for visual purposes, for now, I will output what we have. And that would be in current mood snapshot. And this is just a recap for me. So we are on the mood page they're on, which is already a bug. This should not be how are you. This should be the themes page because that's where we landed. So I'll need to fix that. Mood level, selected feelings. Although this doesn't matter at this point. Technically, doesn't even matter because you're done. Selected feelings. Okay, and in this case, okay. Oh, interesting. Sorry, what I'm thinking as I'm looking at this, because I didn't do it, even though I thought I said I would, which is here, when we send this to OpenAI, I was like, hey, I'm going to send all the feelings, like all the data of the feelings, which is all of this, like feeling name, all of this, and only send the name to OpenAI, but I end up sending the entire object. So what this line is doing, I just realized, is it's outputting this entire thing, not just this. So OpenAI is getting the valence, is getting the emotion, it's getting the intensity, and it's getting the variance. And I kind of actually like that. You know, like it has enough things to figure it out. So I don't mind that at all, actually.
Does that like consume more tokens?
It does. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So if we're concerned about, I just realized we're using my OpenAI key, Mary.
Yeah.
I just realized that. I didn't. Now that you mentioned it, I was like, wait, you just a minute. These tokens, it's okay. We don't have. I don't think we have enough usage for it to impact my bank account just yet. maybe when you start using it, then I'll be like, hey, sorry, bring your own key, bro.
Yeah,
what?
like could that be a thing? Like, could people like in the setup process just be like, here is my key?
Yeah. It is kind of feels kind of lame. Not gonna lie.
For
Be
the
like,
purpose
hey.
of like beta testing.
Yeah, we could. I also feel like it's like a extra roadblock of a step. You know, like,
That's true.
hey, you know, bring your feelings and your API key.
Okay, for the purpose of user testing with me.
Okay, it's fine. I don't think we'll get enough usage to really make a dent.
We'll see.
It'll be less than this coffee that I'm drinking here. So, you know.
We'll see. I have a lot of feelings.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. You have like at least 5 coffees worth of feelings. Got it. Um, okay, so just collecting my thoughts back again here. We have selected feelings, which we do want to store. And I'm thinking maybe I just want to store the feeling name. We'll see how that emerges. Journal entry we want to store as is, of course. Selected themes are these ones. So health, this and that. And then these are the total suggested themes. And again, I'm not too... Honestly, I feel like we could just store the whole thing. Who cares? Like, we're not... It's fine. The only concern I have right now, which might not be an issue, but just an emerging concern, is if I store things in this data format and then they change, then I have to deal with that. Okay, fine. Not a big deal right now because, again, it's not like we have like years worth of user data that we have to worry about. And then now I'm starting to think that it might be very easy for me to just store this object as is versus like a properly normalized relational database. So is there like I'm just gonna see if there's like a drawing tool I can use. And I'm just kind of trying to find it off screen at the moment. I kind of wanted to quickly draw like a relational model of what I'm thinking about, just so I can explain it high level. And then we can think about like there's pros and cons to storing data in a certain way or a different way, and then to try and figure it out. Now I'm using Google Draw. I don't use Google Draw generally, so I might have to just figure out. Maybe it's just start with text. Also, why isn't so looking at this, something like this, let's say if this was a relational database, the table here would be journal entries, let's say, right? And then this might have like fields such as, it's uppercasing the things here. It might have fields such as like mood level. And then if it was properly normalized, selected feelings would actually be in a separate table. Journal entry itself, of course. Although it's a bit weird to have a field called journal entry in a table called journal entries, but okay, fine, journal entry. Selected themes might also be a separate table. Doesn't have to be.
Take a look at, just because it might have some overlap,
Mm-hmm.
Can you take a look at the Notion page under, I can send the direct link. Under mood snapshot.
Sure.
And just let me know if there is overlap or I'm totally off base. So if you scroll down, where is it? Yeah, there.
Yeah, in terms of what we want to store, yeah. I'm just scanning this. So timestamp, yeah. Typically, in a lot of Rails tables, and it's become sort of more of a common standard now, you'll generally have created at and updated at. Although we won't get this for free, we'll have to manually ensure that these are there. And even then, like at least created at, if not updated at. Mood level, yep. So feelings, okay, you do have it as a relation, but then we kind of have to have like a feelings table, right? So, which is kind of what I was getting at here as well. We'd have to have some kind of
Yeah.
another table. Oh, okay. I see this is not a box. Okay, and I don't know why I got an extra arrow.
Do you hate FigJam?
No, I just never used FigJam. That's why my mind never went. When I said I wanted to draw something, my mind just never went to FigJam. I don't hate it. I hate. I actually dislike having to do this at all, to be honest, because a lot of it just happens in my mind and I code it right away. But for demonstration purposes, and as I'm kind of trying to express something a little bit more visually rather than through code. I'm happy to switch to FigJam. Should I switch to FigJam? Would you recommend that?
Whatever you're more comfortable with. This
I'm
feels like
I'm uncomfortable with everything. But I guess I'm halfway in here. So, but
Yeah.
perhaps I can next time I need to do something like this, I will reach out for FigJam. Noted. So the table here would be selected feelings, perhaps something like that, and then it might at least have a feeling name for fields, and like journal entry ID. We're already assuming that all of these tables have ID as a default, and then this kind of, so you can have multiple rows in this table that correspond to one. So this is a one-to-many relationship. One entry can have many feelings, and then same thing with themes. So I guess I won't continue drawing this out. I just wanted to at least just express this relation thing of like multiple tables. And then anytime there is a relation per se, we would have to have like selected themes as its own table. That's one option. Yeah, journal entry, that's cool. Now here's the other thing. A lot of this depends on how we intend to use this data. The easier thing for me to do would be to store this object as it is, with the addition of like the extra field of like timestamp, let's say. And then if all we're going to do is list it here, then I can just store the data as is, and yeah, we could pick it out and list it like this, no problem. If it's the case that we want to do any analysis on it, like what's the average mood level this week kind of thing, and draw that data as a graph, it could still be done with like having the data stored like this. It becomes a little simpler if we do store the relational tables way, but setting up the relation tables is a lot more complex. Or I mean, it's more work, and this storing it like this is very simple generally, usually. Now I'm saying all that without having looked at exactly how the browser's kind of index DB would work, but given how DBs usually work, dumping this data as is would be simpler, which is what I'm leaning to.
Downsides?
Yeah, like if it becomes harder to, it's a little bit more work later on to aggregate the data in order to like build these tables or whatever. It's not that much work to aggregate the data. It's just a bit more. The benefits are if this model changes, then we don't have to like rework the database. We just store the object fully. And then in this case, like I wouldn't know. Okay, I mean, weather condition aside, because these we haven't stored yet. This, I wouldn't necessarily begin to derive day of week or time of day, because that data is kind of contained in the timestamp, and we can always extract it as we need it. Season, same thing. Season is also relevant to location because
True.
depending on where you are, those things are dependent.
So maybe location.
Yeah. So location, we would need permissions from the browser or device in order to get location, but I think we can manage that. So location is the additional thing. Okay. The other thought that occurred to me now, I mean, in terms of temperature, we'll have to see if the browser provides any weather details. I don't know that it does by default. I imagine that it doesn't, which means we'll have to find an API that maps the location to this. Although for now, I won't consider these at the moment. What unless you're like, hey, no, this is so important, we should get these in now. My focus would be just on like figuring out how to saving it and displaying it, and then looking at sort of the extras here.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think
mhm.
like all of the time related stuff are definitely like okay. We if we're saving the created
derivable.
it will come later.
Yeah. Now the only reason that you'd want to
the
store this up front. Sorry, Mary, go ahead. Sorry, I just spoke over you. Go ahead.
Sorry, location is one that I do want, but not right away.
Yeah. Like once like it's just, to me, it's like I don't even have the data stored or working at, like I'm at 0 level here, so I'd feel a lot more comfortable once the data is stored, and then we can delete it and modify it, no problem. Yeah. So location. The other thing is, like, I think in the ways that these things matter, again, I think it's useful to derive this ahead of time and store it if we were, again, to like query based on this. So SQL databases generally are very good at, if I said, hey, give me all the general entries that happened from 11 p.m. to, actually the timestamp would do that without this. Day of week, also the time, we could get that from the timestamp. But if we want it to be faster, like, give me everything on a Thursday, again, the timestamp can do that fairly nicely in SQL databases usually. But if we want it to be a bit more faster, if the query was slow, then I would store it separately so that I could query it a little bit faster. Like if you had millions and millions of rows. But okay, so I think right now I'm just leaning towards simplifying this as much as I can at the moment. So we'll go ahead with kind of like a created at thing. The other thing that occurred to me just now is, would we at all, like, I'm not going to do it initially, but I would love for you to think about it, is, or maybe I will do it because it's so simple, but would you at all care about when the journal entry was started and then when it was saved? Like, does that matter how long you took to finish the entry? Maybe. Because just looking at this now, it's like, what is the timestamp? Like, is it start here or does it start here? And does that matter?
I think right now, no.
Yeah.
Right now, I think the created at would be like when.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But it's not a big deal to kind of store a started at, which is why, like, the created at, even the nomenclature there is very nice. Like started at, updated at, created, like started at, and so forth, so on. Versus timestamp, which just kind of means just one fixed thing, or kind of loses the meaning. Okay. Anyway, so I think now I'm fairly ready to start looking into how IndexedDB works. And then IndexedDB, am I spelling that correctly? Oh, yeah, why not? What? Is this true? Does the user have to allow it? Like, I'm sorry, I'm a bit. I knew it'd be greater than local storage, but I was expecting this, like 60% of a drive. Interesting. Anyway,
What does that mean?
oh, you mean the storage here?
Yeah.
It just means how much you could store in an indexed DB database through the browser, I believe. Um, I'm so I'm surprised this is the case because typically the browsers are very productive of like non-browser things um, on your computer, which is why like cookies and local storage is so limited comparatively. And so to see this number, because I haven't dealt with IndexedDB before at all, I'm a little surprised, but okay, fine. I mean, it is what it is. And then I guess, yeah, I'm happy to just go ahead and take a look at the API to see how it works. This is the Mozilla Docs. I wonder if Chrome specifically has its own thing. And then I think the last thing I want to just keep in the back of my mind is if there's any JavaScript libraries that deal with it or make it simpler. I'm not sure if this is necessary at this stage, but since I'm unaware of it, I kind of want to get some of awareness. I'm actually also mildly curious whether views would have something about IndexedDB. And then I realize now that I have no idea how IndexedDB stores data. Like, I don't even know if it's relational, whether it's key value, whether it's SQL. I actually don't know anything. The only thing I knew was that it's larger than local storage. Significant amounts of structured data, including files and blobs. Okay. So I mean, all of that diagramming was a little unnecessary because it does seem to be a key value storage database. And I kind of clued into that when I was looking at the view use thing because it was like key val. I was like, wait, what? I had almost thought that it was more like a relational database, but I'm mildly confused here. Let's just see. So it's transactional, but not relational. Okay. It's a weird way of saying that. With the key, okay, good. Supported by structured clone algorithm that can be stored. I don't know what that means. So I do need to specify database schema. Yeah, transactions, no problem. Okay. I'm gonna just give myself maybe 5 minutes to read or scan over some of this stuff just so I build a mild index of what's possible here. But I don't want to dig in too much to things. Like, do I even need to know this? That's what I'm trying to judge right now. Is like I can keep reading forever. Okay. Not sure what that means. Okay. I think high level, I think what I'm supposed to take from this is that it's using JSON objects or JavaScript objects, not JSON objects, mind you. So it's using JavaScript objects, but that it needs those objects to only have these types so that your types of objects that you store don't get too complex and it cannot be properly cloned. I might be wrong, but I think that's the essence of what this wants me to understand. And I think that's good enough. I'm not using any complex things. Really, we're using arrays, numbers, and strings. So, and the only thing that we'll add here is a date. And a date also could be represented as a string or as a date object. And it seems like IndexedDB does accept a date, a map, numbers, strings. So I think I don't think I need to go any deeper here until I run into an error that requires me to. Okay, so this is kind of what I wanted to get into, which is some code samples. So you create a request in the code, error handling, that's fine. I don't know what this means either. There's a whole, I think, essence of version change event. So I don't know if that means that it does some kind of change management or whether it's storing versions of rows or the entire database. Unclear to me because I'm scanning and not deeply reading at this stage. And I only have 2 minutes left.
You only have 2 minutes left.
Yeah, because I said I'm only going to give myself 5 minutes to scan these docs.
The arbitrary number of minutes you gave yourself.
Yeah, because I can keep on going into an immense rabbit hole here without actually, trying it out, which will really reveal to me. So right now I'm just scanning enough so I remove a little bit of discomfort that prevents me from just jumping in. So I don't want to jump in with nothing, but I don't want to become a PhD level knowledge before I jump in. So that's the trap. Which the 5-minute trap is like, I don't need too much time to start coding. And most of my learning can happen in a quick loop. Although just now, though, in the code, I'm seeing a little things that would indicate I do want to understand certain things a bit more. But the thing that I was going to look at next, though, was going to be code samples anyway. And so it was like 5 minutes just to read the docs a little bit here and there. And the next thing I want to look at is the code samples. And there I can spend a little bit more time. And it seems like these are code samples. But I think I want something simpler. Like, certainly I'm not going to read all this. So really what I want are examples that are a bit more direct. So I think that's what I can take a look at next, although I will quickly take a look at this. So they have this, which is a key because it's key value, and then data is being modified. And it seems here that these things are stored right away. So it's key value. It's key value. So this changes a few things for me. I had really thought it was more relational. key value means that I don't have a concrete idea of a table. So I can't necessarily say, get me all the entries from the entries table sorted by timestamp, which means that I'd need to figure out a way of managing that smartly, which feels a little odd to me. So it means that there's a gap in my understanding, even with the scanning that I've done thus far. But I think a few examples here would clarify this. So let's open a bunch of these just so I can. Oh, this is great. Which I never saw or heard of before. This is 2 years ago. It's like even the docs say it requires some setting up and handling, and I was actually wondering if somebody uses it. This is actually great. But I can't say 5 MB. With iOS having more support for PWA. Yep, still use it. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I'm seeing a lot of positive output here. Okay, so let's take a look at. Oh, I see. Right, and so now I'm just, because I did scroll over the docs earlier, kind of this is reiterating for me the idea of creating an object store, which could be my table, maybe. Although that might not be the intention of how this ought to be used, but I'm kind of just trying to map the thoughts in my head. And then an index, and unclear to me whether we're searching based on this index or not. So let's keep reading. You create a transaction with the name of the store. You get, or this might just be a key. And then here I am putting data into the store. Okay, this seems very natural. And then here's the index that we created. And then I can get based on, oh, wow. So I can get based on the key path, it seems, which I indicate. And that seems to be the default key or the primary key, let's say, as it might have been in a relational database. And then here it seems like you can get via the index itself. So these values. Although I would imagine that this would return one item, my sense would have been that this would return an array of items. So let's see if that is true. Get John, the result.name.first. That seems legit. This seems a bit weird. But yeah, there's some, I mean, it's not a lot. It's not that bad, but it's still what feels a little weird overhead here in terms of doing this. And if there is a library that kind of wraps it up very nicely, that would be useful. I'm going to scan this article as well to see examples here. Okay, seeing similar things with key path as the primary key usage, but also seeing kind of uniqueness. So it does do that as well. When opening a database, you can specify the version number. If the version number is higher than the existing database, the on upgrade needed event is triggered. Okay. And let object store. So now we're kind of back. Define your indices, adding and retrieving data. Okay, great. Yeah, create a, I think they use put here. And here, I'm scanning, I'm seeing an ad via an add request. Here, object store.put. Here, object store.add. Okay. I wonder if that's an API change. Like this example might be old. I'm kind of looking at a date, last active 3 months ago. Not sure when it was created. And a date here, a couple years ago, so it shouldn't be. Okay. Somebody's knocking on my door and then opened it. It's someone in my family who doesn't care about boundaries as much. It's my mom. It's my mom.
Do you need to step away?
No, I think it should be fine. It should be fine. I might just quickly check my messages here in case somebody messaged me. No, I don't. I'm not seeing any messages from. I'm just gonna check my phone because maybe it just messaged me, right? No, seems fine. Okay. Yeah, should be okay. Okay, querying and filtering data. Right, so same as the example that we had before. Get by ID. And then filtering data with indices. Yeah, I think the thing that's kind of making me scratch my head here is I really would have expected this to return like an array and this to return an object. Index.get John Doe. Now in this case, because I had a unique index, I expect only one result. But where I don't have a unique index, I don't. And so there are more complicated techniques. Definitely this kind of the API that they have here isn't the simplest. Doesn't feel like intuitively simple. Okay. So the put method now being referenced here is for updating records. Although our friend here felt very comfortable using put to add, presumably that you can do that anyway. Cursor seems, Okay, there you go. Here's an example of iterating over all records in an object using a cursor. So the language seems to be records in an object store or object. And cursor seems more involved, but we will need to get the last X number of items. And then additionally, it says here, which makes sense. Additionally, it indicates here, there's some indication here that you can also have files or blogs. So in the case that if ever Mary wanted to then add images to the journal area, if we want to, like if the audio, we wanted to record the audio and store it potentially, that would be possible within a local storage or a, device storage environment without having to store those on something like S3 or a server. The idea that all that data, even though it is larger, can be stored locally. Just learning that. But I'm still not happy with, like, I could start coding, but something in my heart says that the complexity of this is a little weird, which means that I'm still trying to scan for more examples and potentially see if there are also any libraries that simplify this process, so I don't have to worry about the nitty gritty. I can just say, create me a store, put these things in there, update these, get me the last 10 items without having to like manage cursors myself. And like my gut says that there ought to be that kind of a thing. But not seeing that right away through scanning any of these. And again, I'm just looking at these examples. Although this seems different than this, where this is using directly the Windows IndexedDB object, and then this is using the IDB library, although the rest of it seems fairly similar. But the thing I'm looking for here is just how this false unique index works. I've also noticed that they have an auto increment feature, which wasn't clear from previous examples. That's fascinating. That's kind of the whole reason of kind of going through multiple examples, right? I could go through the docs and kind of almost scan too hard and not read in depth and miss it, which is kind of along the lines of why I had that time limit for this docs and wanted to jump into examples. Don't always hit, like might not have always discovered that, but in this case, also opening up multiple sites for examples, right? Like I'm not like just going to read this and go, oh, this is what it is. So got lucky here, I guess. Also going to search for it later. Okay, these examples are nicer on this side for sure. Interesting. Okay. I think here it is trying to simplify that API a little bit, where instead of doing something like on upgrade needed, you're kind of passing in this upgrade function in this object. And saying, the object store doesn't exist, create it. And really, it seems like a very loose schema. So the schema really, in this case, is what's the primary key and any indices that you want to be able to search or retrieve the data on. So purely if you wanted to do key value without any other retrieval, then this would suffice. I still feel like there might be a simpler API than even IDB. So I will scan through these docs, look for that briefly, and if not, then potentially settle on IDB as the starting point, because I feel like I don't really want to play with this interface here or that API. Right. Okay. Another thing I missed earlier is this does treat it sort of like database. Okay. Yeah. Which this does as well. So database, store. So this kind of your database and this kind of your table, let's just say, or collection. And it's all kind of registering now, honestly. Okay. So get from my foods collection or from my food store, sandwich item, updating data. No idea what this is saying, but that's fine. Okay. Oh, interesting. So here it uses created during the add, and then here it's used updated add, and it's saying, hey, this creates a new field, which means that when you're doing put, it scanning this, the idea would be that it adds in new fields if necessary, and it retains created. Wait, what? That's the exact opposite of what I just said. Hold on. When updating a row in an object store, IndexedDB doesn't perform a diff on the data that you're updating. For example, if you use .add to create a new row, then update it later with .put, it erases any fields in the original value that aren't in a new value. So then you'd end up losing created here, which reading this scanning example made me feel exactly the opposite, which is probably why they needed this like big ass red thing here. So I guess there's another concept that I need to learn, because it's come up again, the idea of out of line key and inline key. But I feel like I think that should be fine mostly. Here's a delete example. Okay, get all. Thank you. Get all seems a bit extreme. This method returns all objects from the object store with no constraints whatsoever. It is the most direct way of getting all the values. Very nice. I see. Advance the cursor to the next row. Cursor.value, got it. Key value, got it. and then next, and then we could either continue or break the loop if we only wanted a certain. My only open questions remaining now is around indices. So I think this is trying to address it here. Lets you fetch the data in an object stored by property rather than primary key. You could create an index on any property. Can you sort? Nothing on sorting just yet. Okay, how are we doing for time? There's a few open questions that I kind of want answered before I jump into code. Just around data retrieval. I feel like I'm fairly generally, not the best amount of clarity, but generally clear enough on storing, but not entirely clear on retrieving. Because what I want to do is we're storing these general entries, and I want like the last 10. Fairly common thing that one would want. And it's not clear to me reading these here that I wouldn't know how to do it. And this upper bound, lower bound thing is fine. That's fine. So with upper bound, lower bound, it seems like you might be able to do something like get me something in the last few days versus the last 10. Which might suffice. So the other thing I want to look at now is it seems like generally there's something that you'd want to sit in like a brief tutorial / course and be like, oh yeah, now I know kind of the range of what this provides and does. So I'm just trying to calculate my next move, which is to look for other libraries that deal with IndexedDB to see if there's yet even a simpler I think I had opened that before. Dexy came up before. IDB was what I was just looking at. Here's somebody who wrote a blog post on investigating the libraries that are out there about 3 years ago. Somebody asking on Reddit, what wrappers do you use? So this is the thing that people want. It's a thing that I want. Oh, wow. Look at this. So somebody's saying, hey, we'll use SQL. So this thing looks more like what you already know versus you having to learn a different API and having to struggle with it. And they're also like, hey, we're integrated with Vue. Don't worry about it. We gotcha, they say. This can also be a whole can of worms. So just going to quickly take a look here to see how much they really simplify it. Interesting. Oh yeah, this is very much kind of like, although I don't know, in the other examples, there weren't really these like hardcore definitions. It was kind of like, hey, here's your primary key, whatever other fields you want to put in there, no problem. So define a database. I don't dislike this right off the bat. It seems a lot more familiar. You do initdb, which creates it. And note here that there are no versions just yet. I don't know what that means. And then, so that's just for database. Inserting. Okay. Okay, yeah. So this is start inserting an object here. This API is much cleaner than the browser's default API. Much more familiar. Upsert, okay. Very quickly, I want to see whether this library is maintained. 7 months ago. So it's not super duper maintained, but it doesn't seem like there's any pending issues here. This seems all above board. So maybe they're like, hey, we're done. Like it works perfectly. No problem. Okay, we're still in JS Store here. Let me quickly read here what other people are using. Okay. Okay. I guess maybe I should look into Dexy now. Because that's come up, but this thread is not that deep here. This person says they're interested in digging in. Here they describe the general browser-based API, but it doesn't seem they go into anything else. And then here, I like this. I really like that. This post is more than 2 years old. They're going into Dexy. So saying, hey, here's the original code. And here's, ooh-wee, look at that. Here's a simplified code. Although, to be honest, auto increment true looks like a much more simpler thing. Sorry, that's my phone going off. It's a spam call. This here seems a lot more cleaner than plus ID. Don't love it, but it is seems simpler. The rest of it is really great though. I don't trust this to be true. If I have to create an index, where does that information go? Okay, so the string value is how you define, as I don't have any indexes, it's just a primary key. All this is a lie because you do have an index here. These two code examples are not equivalent. So this is not strictly true. Get all contacts. Looks simple enough, apart from it not really being promise-based. So this, oh no, this, sorry, I was looking at the wrong API. So it is promise-based. So that is immensely simple. Getting one contact, immensely simple. So I'm liking what I'm seeing here. This is kind of what in my heart I was expecting the API to be. Put, no problem. Deleting contacts, super simple. What this doesn't cover is retrieving by indices. So let's go into Dexy and maybe spend a little bit more time here, since this does seem like now the way to do it. Apart from maybe view use, but here it says Do they integrate with reactive frameworks? And since we're using Vue, so they have a Vue example, which I want to dig into in a second. So I create a database and I create my stores, indicating my primary key and then any indices. What's not clear when I scan this versus the more kind of detailed API is whether this is two individual indices or one single index, unclear. But the rest of it is very nice. Oh, wow. Oh, look at that. Where age above 75. That syntax is so smooth, so clean. What I was hoping to see was maybe some kind of limit. This idea of like, I want the 10 entries above 75 is still not present here. So for Vue, they have something called, oh, they want us to use RxJS. Okay, no problem. And RxJS gives us a use execute. Oh, it's coming from Vue use. So they want to use an observable through Vue use through RxJS. So that full chain. And to make it reactive, I'm not really concerned about reactivity, to be honest. Like, I think it's a little simple not to be reactive here. Oh, interesting. So you could sync to some database in the cloud as well. That makes sense. The only thing I don't see here, which I would love, is how do I get the last 10? I've looked through maybe like 7 different examples, and there's no indication. I guess the one way to get the last 10 would have been like, if you had a cursor, you could just stop after you have 10 rows. But now I see limit here, which means there should be a fairly straightforward way of getting that. Okay, I think I'm ready to code now. One last look at Vue though, because it does have a more detailed kind of get started with Vue situation here. Okay, some accommodation for TypeScript. Oh no, okay, this example seems very straightforward. It's not using. Oh, so creating is not using reactivity, but this is using reactivity. Kind of want to avoid for now. So let's look at the vanilla example. Between. So there's a lot more that we can learn about Dexy, right? We saw like above, there's also between, and there's also limit like we saw. So now I think that's order by. Look at that. So all these questions that I had that weren't answered by kind of scanning the default docs are now kind of being clarified by Dexy's examples. So apart from limit, I'm starting to feel a lot more comfortable here. I know that. Okay, so let's see. I think my goal for right now is to just store something and retrieve something. Super simple. And limit. I really want to figure out limit, actually. Okay. Um, works for me. We'll install Dexy. And now having it installed, I want to, so it's got to be done in browser. Okay. I'm going to copy this outright. And then for now, I won't have any. Well, the only index I care about is created at, right? And the rest of it can be fine. So let's go to themes. This is where we have that finish thing. And then I'll have a click to save mood snapshot. Let's write this function here. Function save mood snapshot. None of this actually. Let's, I got this. In utils, I can have a db.ts. And here I can do this. And the thing that I want to be aware of is this. It's kind of, I'm storing these things wholesale. And then because kind of going with my theme here, I can have an updated at, created at for now, and we will use date. The rest of these objects are fairly standard, so not too worried about them. And then I know I want to index by created at the very least. And maybe that's all we'll start with. We'll call it the Cocoon database. And we'll have at minimum, this will be just journal entries. And so here they have an interface. So this is the same thing from above. As Dexy. Type entity table. So yeah, I think I just might do this. Type entity table. And I want to see whether our friend AI will help me here. Not entirely. Here, I think I can also have an ID. Because the ID won't be present to begin, there's some weirdness here that we might have to deal with later. And then entity table. I can just say current mood snapshot. And then am I saying number? It cares about not number, but the actual field. So I'm going to give it ID. Okay, not bad. So far, so okay. And now I want to add this data. And I think even just right after the add data step, I should be able to view that data in the application in the browser. So just scanning over this example again, and we have just this little bit here. And it looks good to me. So now I can go back to my themes page and kind of go back here on my save mood snapshot, paste this code, which will change in a second. Now my autocomplete is not, or my auto format is not working for some reason, but okay. We will want to, okay, so here's the thing. I think calling this DB seems like super basic, but we'll deal with that later. Async here. So now it seems like the types are working, so I should be able to do journal entries and have that autocomplete. Fantastic. And then I should be just able to say current mood snapshot over here. So I should be current mood snapshot all on its own, and then create it at new date. Precisely what I wanted. And then presumably I should get some kind of ID object back from this. I'm curious right now, even with just what we have thus far, whether that was enough to actually create the object store here. So not seeing that. Refresh. No. Oh, because maybe because that code has not run just yet. Here we would have gone somewhere else. To like the home page. But for now, I'm not too concerned about where we're going. So I'll just do this. And then all of this is kind of deletable. I'm not tied to this as strongly. And here we'll see what happens. Okay, so we're having that cloning issue for some reason. It says it could not be cloned. And I'm not seeing a more detailed error here. That's fine. Maybe I can begin by simplifying the data. So maybe I just store mood level. I store the journal entry itself. And let's start there. Let's try and get a success. It's not gonna like it. So let me just say partial. Will it actually do this? Like, will it be like, okay, cool, no worries? It's not great, but I mean, we'll start here. Just double checking this. So it has created a database, even though it didn't save a row exactly, but I was hoping to maybe see something like this. This is our index. Cool. So creating that ad, executing the database creation thing did work. And now let's see if the save works. So it says mood snapshot saved with ID 1 with our simpler data. And here I kind of noticed something here saying data may be stale, which means I need to refresh. And now this has our basic data. Now what I'm curious to see is what part of the data broke. So it's not mood page. Well, I don't know why it wasn't. And what I can essentially do is here, because we're not going anywhere, is I can just keep clicking finish, it should save another row with the exact same data, which it tells me here, and it has. And now I should see mood page. Fantastic. And I'm going to just keep doing this until it breaks. And there it is. There's our issue. So it seems like this selected feelings array cannot be cloned. But I mean, looking at this right off the bat is just an object of strings and string arrays. Why would you not be able to clone it? Let's see if there's any detail here. Did I misread something in my earlier scanning to indicate that? Just want to copy this. So you make sure the objects you add does not contain promises or functions. There's nothing here to indicate that our feelings, our selected feelings have that. Just for clarity's purpose, I'm just trying to think what I can do to kind of navigate that in a different way. I do want to quickly cheat. So what if I did JSON.parse? Yeah, exactly. This is what I wanted to do. I wanted to stringify it and then parse it. Additionally, I want to console.log it, not this, but my selected feelings, to see if there's any other. Oh, is that why? Because it's a proxy object. It's a proxy object. So can I make raw? Or something like this. View next make raw. Something like that. Mark raw. There you go. I don't know if you could do a mark raw to a. Oh, okay. View next make reactive object raw to raw. That's what I want. So maybe I don't do this for now. Maybe I can now experiment with to raw that. And if this works off the bat, that'd be cool. Here we are. Finish. Seems to have saved. That was the issue. So it's just because Vue is very fluid in terms of the API that it provides, it's very easy to forget that the reactive object is actually a proxy object to the actual data. And once we know that now it works as expected, because I could have gone on debugging kind of like what's happening here and not just happened to have realized it. We're storing more data than I would like this icon data is just unnecessary. So, I mean, there is a case to be made later on during some kind of a cleanup to only store like the feeling name and only store the theme name and so forth, so on. But again, I think I would do that later when there's some kind of sense to all of this. And that's fine. Like, I'm not too committed to it. We could just delete all the data and remodel it that way. Cool. We can also delete from here. We can clear this and start over. So if I click finish here, I expect now that this would say ID1 if there was not an error. Ah, ID4. Because we cleared, we didn't destroy. That's why. So let me just see what if I... Oh, so I can only refresh here. I can delete the database. Good. So now I would expect... yep. Now I would expect ID1. And cool. Interesting. Okay, so now I want to retrieve the data. I wouldn't mind just storing a bunch now. Like, I've just clicked many times, and now I have 31. Because I still, in my heart, really want that, like, get the last 10 scenario. Okay. Mood in pages mood index. So maybe pages mood index can be our home page. And all I care for now is not necessarily designing it or kind of implementing the design to, whoa, I don't know why I seem to be pressing something that always automatically goes to here. So today I won't get into kind of the visualization. All I want is the last 10 items. And then I think next time we can begin to look into enhancing our app with like the location, the weather, and so on. After having sort of jumped over this like storage hurdle. Okay, last 10. That's all I want. Just a JSON dump of the last 10, and I would be thrilled. So let's add this. And now on load, I suppose we want to be able to fetch. What if I give it a comment like, get the last 10 journal entries from the kind of giving it a index database. So we'll say something like db dot journal entries dot ooh wee, look at that. Let's accept. Let's vibe. And then here, I'm also actually okay. Welcome to my tracker. Here, I might just like do a div, v4 on. It doesn't want to. Oh, because I never stored it anywhere. Let's just say entries for now. I was thinking whether I need to make that reactive. Probably not. I do need to make that reactive. But let's just do this for now and then see how we feel in a second. This seems too clean. I just want something very raw here. Just entry. Can I loop through the entries as is? So we do have it. We do have it here, right here. So we can get the last 10 journal entries. It's just the display thing isn't exact. So let's try and figure that out. Oh, okay. Yeah. What am I doing? It's just because I started typing and just accepting what the AI was giving me and not really processing it in the way that I wanted to. So we'll do this for now. And then we'll do a console.log here. Any errors, fine, no problem. And now there we go. That's our data coming back. I just want to verify here whether we have the created at value. Which I'm not seeing on initial scan. No, there it is, right at the end. And really, that's all we need, right? Like, and is this typed? It is typed. So now I think I can go back to my store and not to my store, to my DB and remove this partial business. And take a look at my mood index page and just check the types again here. Now it's a clean current mood snapshot array. And I don't need to make this a ref currently because it's not changing after load. So it loads up and then it does this and it's able to display it. And it seems like I have enough now. Like I got my limit thing, so I got that out of my system. And this seems fairly clean. I don't think we need to dig any deeper into it. Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways we can go around it to see like what else it could do in terms of storing files or blobs or what have you, voice notes, so forth, so on. So we could record both the actual audio and the text. But I mean, let's see where we go from there. But yeah, I'm happy to call it here for me. Any thoughts, Mary, questions, comments, or additions that you want to make because you didn't do your homework?
I'm happy to like share my screen and just like share what I've done in the background, and also I organized the homework a little bit more. Not that I will do them, but
wait. So when you said did you do the homework in the background, like previous homework, part of it?
I did a little bit.
Okay.
So what did I do? How the user can add more themes manually.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Again, I'm really bad at creating snapshots of designs, so I just kind of kept
overriding. Yeah, classic.
I mean, I own it though. Like I don't need it. I don't need the last version. I don't need like 10 time-stamped, iterations. I try to like create versions every once in a while just so that there's some historical context, but when it comes to like smaller things, I'd rather not do that. So what I did was just like a little bit of simplification of, I think there was like a big blurb of like, oh, feel free to add whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And I think we can just simplify it to be like anything else so that it's less, I don't know, intense. And you can like open the chevron to then see everything else. And I also applied that the path of like it's complicated. So its complicated path is you start with journaling. The system detects what are the feelings, and the user should be able to add anything if there are anything that's not detected. And then going back to the theme detection. That's really it. And then the other thing is I added, this is not something I did today, but more refresher in my brain of like, oh yeah, like one consideration that we talked about probably a couple sessions ago at this point, is like the idea of skipping journaling. So like if I'm short on time or just don't want to talk about it, I want to be able to come in here and just do this part. I guess the option is I just want to like capture how I'm feeling. I want to skip journaling altogether. I want the option to like, like even without the AI detection, I want the option to say, oh, it's related to these things, but I also want the option to skip that too. So like the only mandatory thing is like, I mean, it's in the name of like the mood snapshot. The only like required element of a mood snapshot is this really. So I think that's also something we can
So
explore.
walk me through that one more time so I get that again, Mary. So I'm here. I tap continue from this, the second screen here,
Yeah.
my feeling screen.
Yeah,
And
and you
then,
should see the journaling step.
yeah.
Before you start typing anything, you should be able to skip it.
Mm-hmm.
If you skip it, you kind of go through the manual phase of like identifying themes.
Got it. Okay,
And
I see.
you can skip that as well, and that should still save an entry. That just, I guess it would just say you were feeling this with no reasons attached.
Perfect. I see that you've gotten rid of the icons. I think that threw me off a little bit, where the icons beside the themes are no longer there. Are we getting rid of them?
No. It's more just I don't
Okay, got it.
like I don't want to like I don't know what they are anymore because I think
Okay,
they
yeah,
were created
I see.
as you coded,
Got,
and I'm like
got it. Okay.
I'd rather
Yeah,
not
yeah. I hear
do
you.
that
Okay,
right
okay.
now.
Yeah. Okay,
But
got
we
it.
should keep them.
Okay, perfect. Um, okay, cool. And I think very specific for the homework, if you want to be a little bit more detailed in your note taking, is the prompt that, like, to generate the prompt where we go from the journal words to a set of selected and unselected feelings. So very similar to the prompt that we had for themes, but now for feelings, where it knows which feelings are relevant.
Right.
And then that gets us the it's complicated flow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's. And then I will now, for the third week in a row, try and set up the environment so you can play up with it, or play with it, and then oh yeah. But let's see. I am relying on you to poke me at some point prior to next week
Okay.
in order to get that done. To be like, hey, Adnan, you said, it's been 3 weeks.
Okay. I'm just gonna start like ranting what I would rant to the system to you. I'm just gonna
Fair.
here's my brain dump.
This is my journal entry. Okay, yeah. I
And
like
then
it. And then I
eventually
would
you'll get
generate.
annoyed enough. Yeah.
No, I love it. I would be like, here are the themes, Mary. Which themes would you like to select? And then I would note them down in a Notion page for you. Okay, I like this experiment. I'm in. Challenge accepted.
Right. Yeah, so I added some of those things down. Cool. Hopefully next week I will be like, I know what I wrote down. I know what this is.
No, hopefully next week you will say, I've completed what I wrote down. I've done the work, not I remember what I wrote down. That's wow, way to lower the bar. But yeah, and hopefully I will remember midweek to deliver on my point as well. But I think, yeah, that's all we have for this week. I'm actually thrilled about just having any understanding of IndexedDB. I had very like less than cursory knowledge, and so just to be able to store something and get it back. Yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with how that went. So thank you for joining us on this session of Product Like It's Friday, and we'll see you if the past is any indication next Friday. But if the mood strikes, either one of us or the both of us might join midweek on the stream to do some work, but who knows? Let's see you at a random time, but most likely next Friday. Let's go home, everyone.